also brought a copy of his resolution. So we're going to talk about all of that.
My Nana didn't know a lot of words. She didn't know about the outer court.
Thank you all for joining us on Facebook.
Nana would wake us up on Saturdays for homemade biscuits and all. Good sausage and bacon and all. I don't even know if Nana knew how to cook. She would wake us up for prayer. We were so upset. So we no sense. She just knew one thing. I may not understand everything I read in this scripture. I may have to read these verses 10, 11, 20, 30 times. I just know one thing, that when I sit here long enough.
Get ready to bring me in right here. This is
going
going to be
commercial.
I'm going to recap the songs and then take me to a commercial.
Long enough, he's daddy enough to find me.
God bless you. You're tuned in to GODRadio1.com. You're rocking with Evangel for your midday music mix. Thank you so much for joining me for this midday show. I want to recap the block of who you were just listening to. That was Leon Timble and Northern Lights United with Get the Glory. And before that, you heard Jamila Richardson with God is a Waymaker. And at the top of the block was J.J. Harrison, Rich Tolbert, and Johanna Jones with Miracle Worker. Thank you so much for today, because we have a very special in-house guest. Her name is Miss Tanya Harris. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after this. And if you'd like to, go ahead and join us on social media. We just went live on the GODRadio1.com Facebook page. So go ahead and join us over there so you can join the chat. And we'll be right back after this. Keep it locked.
Yes, you need a revocable living trust and other estate planning documents. Sometimes the most important questions when it comes to protecting your home and family assets are the questions you don't ask. The time is now to make decisions that protect your family in the unfortunate event of your death or incapacity. Don't let the probate process cause your family to lose your hard-earned assets and home. The Law Office of Antoinette Middleton is there to help with basic and sophisticated estate planning strategies, which includes special needs trust for children and disabled adults, asset protection and succession planning for business owners, will, revocable living trust, and irrevocable trust, which protects assets and avoids Medi-Cal estate recovery after your death. The motto at the Law Office of Antoinette Middleton is to plan while you can. Call the Law Office of Antoinette Middleton at 619-235-9501 or email the office at info@lawofficesofam.com. Avoid being stuck with harsh and arbitrary court decisions after your death or disability. Plan today.
This is a special announcement for the Del Mar Fairgrounds. The Del Mar Fairground faces potential closure. Although it is owned by the state of California, the fairgrounds is self-funded and relies on event revenues to operate. The fairground plays an integral role in the prosperity of the region, generating $550 million in economic impact and 5,000 jobs. With no events since March, its revenue streams have been depleted. Without the requested $20 million in relief aid from the state to get through this crisis, the fairgrounds could potentially have to close its doors. Visit SaveYourFairgrounds.com. That's SaveYourFairgrounds.com, and let government officials know the impact the fairground holds in San Diegans' hearts. Again, SaveYourFairgrounds.com.
The San Diego Voice and Viewpoint newspaper is San Diego's oldest and largest African American publication. We bring you news for and about our community. Your stories matter to us. Thank you for allowing us to serve you for nearly 6 decades. Your support enables us to continue to forge ahead, informing you with news tailored to your needs. In addition to subscribing to our weekly publication, consider using Voice and Viewpoint to promote your business and events. Call us at 619-266-2233 or send an email to ads@sdvoice.info for details on how to get started. If you have advertising needs, contact us. Our prices are both fair and reasonable. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Voice and Viewpoint, or visit our website at www.sdvoice.info. Remember, a people without a voice cannot be heard.
We're back up. Awesome. Thank you so much for being tuned in to GODRadio1.com. You're rocking with Evangel for your midday music mix. But I have a very special in-house guest today. I have with me Miss Tanya Harris. She is the mother of a young man by the name of Trayvon Harris. And Tanya, I want to welcome you to GODRadio1.com.
Amen. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
It is such a blessing to be able to be here with you all in this acceptance to come and give
Yes.
this. It's truly God, prayer that I've been asking for,
Amen.
and I'm thankful for it.
Yes, I'm thankful that how you and I met and how our paths crossed very uniquely.
Yeah.
You were tuned into a broadcast that my co-host Walter Coe and I did involving two pastors, Kenny On and Pastor Archie Robinson, and they were discussing a very sensitive topic, which we are dealing with right now in our nation. But the topic was dealing with the racism that's going on between the different ethnicities, but also dealing with the injustices that we've seen from police officers and things like that, where things have gone totally left in a lot of cases where, people of different color have been experiencing different types of treatment. And we brought two people, an Asian and a black pastor, together to discuss it. And you happened to be tuned in that particular day. And you said you didn't know why God led you to tune in, but what you tuned into, there was something about the broadcast that blessed you. And I want you to share a little bit about that broadcast. And then I'll share how you and I connected as well.
Okay. Well, we're talking about how different people are not able to really get the platform that they really deserve and what they to get their view across. And one of the because you're not on social media, or you're not a celebrity, or you're not, you don't have the following. And those are the ones that get kind of swept under the rug, that under the radar. They're not able to get the attention that most would be able to get.
Right. All about the platform.
Yes.
I hear you. And with that, I was able to see some of your chats in the feed. I saw that, and I was drawn to that as well. And we ended up connecting after the broadcast and getting on the phone because I saw some of the things that you were also saying in the post that interested me and drew me in a little bit more to know a little bit more about you. And the interesting thing is the young man that you all see on the screen behind her head, that is her son, Trayvon. I had loosely heard his story, but I did not know the depth of the story until I talked to his mom. So after that broadcast with Pastor Archie Robinson and Kenny On, you and I had an opportunity to dialogue and talk on the phone, and I got to know you a little bit better and hear your story. But I also had the privilege and the honor of being able to pray with you.
Oh, yes.
And that's something I love to do, because if I'm ever in a situation and I may not have the words to say, if I could link up my faith with somebody who prays and somebody who's not afraid to go before the throne room on my behalf, I try to pray in a way that I would want somebody to pray for me. And I literally was trying to feel your heart as a mother. I don't know what it's like to lose a child at all, but there are many women who are probably logged on right now who do know that pain.
Yes.
Nobody knows it like a mother knows it who's gone through it or is going through it right now. But as a result of us connecting, I said, I've got to have her on the show. I wanted to have you to come in, and I wanted to have you share with everyone on our platform about your son's story and about your story. But I want people to know, who is Trayvon Harris? Who is Trayvon? I don't say who was, because he's still really very much alive in the spirit realm, and he's in the presence of God. So who is Trayvon Harris?
Well, I want to start off by recognizing and knowing that I know how you felt that that interview and how we connected. But I want to go how I even connected to God One Radio.
Amen.
And after Trayvon passing, there was an incident with a bee. And the bee scared my son to the point to where his little brother He jumped out of a moving car while I was driving, and he jumps into the front seat. And he was like terrified. And then I said, Why do you do that? He said, Mom, it's a bee. And I said, but it's in the bag. It's outside. And he says, well, and then I was sitting there and he was looking at the bee and he's like, oh, he's so cute, you know. And his little brother, Ty, my son. And I go to the gravesite a little days later and I asked, and I'm praying and I'm talking to Trayvon and I said, were you that bee that was in the window of your brother that scared your brother? And he said, yes, Mom. And I said, Trey, B? Like, why B? He said, B. B-ball, Mom. Basketball. Like, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I get it. And so basketball was Trayvon's love.
Yeah.
Trayvon, enjoyed basketball. His favorite was Golden State Warriors. That's why I have a lot of the blue. So, that's how with the bee, everything started happening around a bee.
Yeah, that was your sign.
Yes. Pastor that came into my home, his wife, to do the for Trayvon, gave me these bee earrings. And one of the and then I also know that being led by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And you get spirit and you get truth. And one morning I saw your name pop up. It said,
Was it
the
G.O.D.?
bee. Yes.
Oh, but Shelby.
Yes.
Amen.
And when I seen that bee, that's when I realized, I said, and I clicked on to G.O.D.
Amen.
And
Amen.
that's how I ended up being a part and listening and, and being led by the Spirit of God to do that. And Trayvon, just like you were saying, very spiritual young man. At a young age, he would, sing. He was the first one that was in the choir, singing, shake the devil off. And he would, do just so many just special things. He had a heart of gold. He would give the shirt off his back. He, things that he, most kid is unfortunate to have. He's able to bless people. He would give encouraging words to people. I, would, as a mother, look over his phone, look over text messages, look over, different things, see who was talking to. And I was very one of those mothers that stayed informed with everything that he was doing. And I noticed one time that he had a friend that was wanting to commit suicide. And Trayvon was able to talk to this young person and to encourage them that that is not of God's will. And God wants you to live and not die. And these are continuous. I have, messages that he tells a friend that he's praying for him while he's in the hospital. And then it was very striking what he said. He said that, shout out to the mom. Like, for him to not only on his social media page to say, I hope, I'm praying for you to get better.
Yeah.
But then to also to give a shout out to the mother.
Acknowledge the mom.
Because, and that's where we come to where we're at right now with George Floyd. George Floyd's death. And it resonated when I was looking at the memorial and Reverend Al Sharpton said that he wanted to speak to his mother.
Yeah.
And when to know that his mother was not living and he called out for his mother when he was dead, that to me resonated a fire in me and the Spirit of God telling me now is the time.
Okay.
Now is the time.
So your son also, I caught a little short portion of the news brief. For people who don't know what happened to Trayvon. Why don't you take us into that so that people understand why you're here today
Yes, yes, yes,
and what's going to be happening on Friday. We won't talk about Friday yet, but I want
yes.
them to understand what happened to your son Trayvon. Take us back to that very day.
Um, Trayvon was he passed away on May 3rd, 2019. Um, it was near a school, San Miguel Elementary School. Um, we he was supposed to have his brother to watch his brother play basketball for the first time. And I told him after I come from work, which was like around 6 p.m., I said I would pick him up from his friend's house, which lives approximately about 5 minutes away from our home.
Okay.
So as I'm coming off of work, I see him. I make sure that he's right where I told him to be, and he was on the curb right next to the school. And I said, I'll be back. I'm going to go get your brother, and then we're going to head up back to um, the rec center, the
Basketball.
Lemon Grove Rec Center.
So you actually saw your son Trayvon standing on the curb.
Yes.
You were on the other side of the street driving in the opposite direction. And that's
Yes.
why you didn't pick him up at that very moment.
Right.
You just
Correct.
rolled down the window, shouted out to him, hey, I'm going to go down the street, pick up your brother, swing back around and get you.
Yes.
Right?
Him and his friend was out there.
Oh, him and a friend
Yes.
was out there.
Yes.
Both of them were waiting for you to come back and pick them up.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And so we went. I went to go pick up his brother. Like I said, like 5 minutes. He was already ready to go. And I come up the street, and that's the devastation of seeing a crowd of people. And as I got closer, of course, I slowed down. And then I noticed his clothing. I
Jesus.
noticed his shoe. And I just jumped out of the car. And there was a lady that was sitting there holding him as well. And I just went next to him and just held him and just started praying until ambulance and authorities came.
Now, you said you also had another son that was in the car with you?
Yes, I have a son that's 10 years old. His name is Ty, and Ty has autism. And it's very hard, even up on yesterday, it's very hard for him to kind of comprehend, to understand, and certain things might trigger. Yesterday he, literally was like laying down and he put ketchup on his head. Things of that nature, he will fall out. So, and we're still under therapy.
Yeah.
But when you have a child that's autistic and you don't know what the process and how they process things, all of us, we have our spurts.
Yeah.
And when things, and I just pray and ask God to help me to be able to comfort him during those times that he, thinking about his brother. And like I said, he was in the car at the time where he's literally sitting there looking out the window and looking at his brother. I want to, to also make sure that people know that what I say is facts. I am not going to give my opinion on anything. I'm not going to give what I think on anything. I will only deal with the facts that I have and the facts that are before me.
Right.
And so I want to make that clear. So if anyone wants to, ask anything and certain information that I can't answer, those would be able to be answered on Friday.
Right. Right.
So
going back to the scene of the accident, you coming upon the scene of the accident and seeing a woman cradling your son. Your son Ty was in the car.
Yes.
Was he allowed to get outside the car at all?
No.
He stayed in the car the whole time.
Yes.
And then the person that was with your son, his friend, where was the friend? Was he still nearby?
Actually, it was a female friend,
Female friend.
and I didn't see her until after the ambulance actually came and took Trayvon away from me,
Mm-hmm.
and then she came up to me afterwards.
Mm-hmm. So she was kind of like a witness too as to what happened.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And so with that, did you stay at the scene of the accident or did you leave with the ambulance? Because I know for a mom, if my baby was being carted off in an ambulance, I'm going with the ambulance. But I know it's important for you to stay behind and try to gather information as to what happened as well. What did you do?
No, at that time, I did in that between that time, I was able to call my mother, which lives down the street as well, his father, as well to come. He was at work, and to be able to get them to come. And during the time, they came up to me. The ambulance came up to me, and they let me know that Trayvon was unresponsive, and that they was taking him to Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And that's when my mother was there at the time on the scene, and um, mind you, that also the officer let her know that that she could not come near because, and they told her that it was a homicide.
Okay.
So my mother at this time, they told us to just go head on and meet us at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did. I got in the car with my mom. She drove my car. I don't know where her car was, but she drove my car, and along with Ty, my youngest son, and we got to the hospital. Upon coming to Children's Hospital, they had me and Trayvon's older brother to come into the room.
So he was notified too. The one that he was going to the basketball game of.
No, he has a Trayvon. I have an older stepson,
Okay.
and that's who was in the room with me
Okay.
when they told us that Trayvon did not make it.
Okay. Okay. So did you end up having to go back to the scene of the accident, or what happened from that moment of you going to the hospital and them still telling you that it was an investigation, which was now considered a homicide, which seems like they arrived at that decision so early to call it a homicide.
Right.
Did you go back to the scene of the accident that same day, or what were some of the things that happened after you found out that Trayvon didn't make it?
After I found out that Trayvon didn't make it, I went home.
Mm-hmm.
I was at home, and I ended up having just the next day, and I went up with my father, and we went up and we took pictures, and
Of
I
the
walked
scene.
around,
Mhm.
and I walked around. So I took pictures. I walked around. I did find a piece of his hair, which I did collect and place in a bag,
Mm-hmm.
and so at that point, I went back home, and how the Lord does things. My mother said, we're going to have a visual for Trayvon. Just out of the blue, she just said it, and I was like, okay. And it arrived. It came up on that, and I said, and so I allow her to go head on and do it. And so at that point, the church, EGWC, the pastor and first lady actually came to my home, helped me to get it out, got up a page and GoFundMe and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine's, Carol McKinney, she said, make your thing public because I need to share it. And once I did that, at Trayvon's visual on the 4th, it was 500 to 1,000 people
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
I mean, just very overwhelming. The mayor of Lemon Grove, all of, the Lemon Grove School District, just uh, teachers, principals,
Mhm.
even his elementary school teacher, his preschool teacher,
Mhm.
Terry Burden, that,
Mhm.
is watching,
Mhm.
was there as well.
Mhm.
Very, a part of, to show what type of person Trayvon was,
Mhm.
the type of young man that his dad and I raised to
Mhm.
be.
Mhm. So they all really began to rally around you because of the young man that they knew him to be.
Yes,
From a student to a kid in the neighborhood, a kid
yes,
in the church.
yes,
These are all people that knew your son very well, and they wanted to come and support you at his memorial service.
yes.
Now, when you say they told you to make it, I think you said they said make it visual.
To
In what?
public,
Okay, so
because
you
mine
allowed
was
cameras to
private.
come in? What
So,
did you do?
yeah, so the first lady, had connections with the media and was able to contact. So they came out to my home prior to the visual and did an interview with me, and was able to give about Trayvon. Nothing about the accident
Right.
or anything. Just strictly just
Him.
talk about Trayvon.
Mhm.
And that's where we followed up with.
Okay. So now the memorial service is over now. He's
Mhm.
been buried.
Mhm.
What are your next moves now? Because you, as a mother, you are very passionate about what actually happened at
Mhm.
the accident site. And as I said with any mother, my goal would be to get in that ambulance and go with my baby.
Yes.
But there still needed to be some answers given to you at the scene of the accident that very day. That's the most precious time around any scene, whether it's a crime that's been committed or an accident that
Mhm.
has just happened. There is a lot of information that can be gathered at that moment, such as witnesses who witnessed the accident
Mhm.
happen.
Mhm.
Perhaps there are some items left behind that, as a result of the accident, flew out of the car or flew
Mhm.
off of him or flew out of, you know what I'm saying? There's a
Yes.
lot of information to be gathered, but unfortunately, you weren't there when an investigation on site was taking place. Naturally,
Right.
you were going to go where your baby was at,
Right.
and there was nobody left behind there to really oversee what things were collected, what decisions were made, what areas were marked off, because we know the
Mhm.
police, anytime there's an accident, they rope it off with yellow,
Yes.
and they oftentimes are trying to preserve a certain, perimeter of the accident, which is a part of their investigation to help them gather what actually happened. Who was at fault? Was it the pedestrian or was it the motorist? There's
Right.
so many things that they have to take into consideration before they can make a finding or make an actual judgment.
Right.
So after his memorial service, or before he was laid to rest, you said you did go back to the scene. You found a piece of his hair, right? You put it
Mhm.
in a bag. You're doing the memorial service. The service is over now.
Mhm.
What are your next moves now? Are you trying to contact the police and find out what their findings were? What was your next decisions as a mom?
Yes. So, after the detective actually came into my home around the 6th to give me Trayvon's his items that was on him, and to also to take my statement. And this was 3 days later.
3 days later
Yes.
after the accident, or 3 days later after
After
his
the
burial?
accident. After the
Okay.
accident. So we haven't gotten to the burial yet.
Okay.
Um, After that, I received that. Um, we had the memorial. I mean the funeral, which was on the 11th of May,
Mm-hmm.
right before Mother's Day
Mm-hmm.
that year. And after the funeral, that's when his dad and I wanted to get some information. So we go to the Lemon Grove Sheriff Department and we ask for the police report.
Mm-hmm.
And we're given it's not ready. It takes some time. It's still ongoing. And so we don't have anything. Um, I go to a city council meeting, which I'm very active. I like to participate in a lot of what's going on in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And I specifically wanted to know what they were going to do about San Miguel.
Okay.
because San Miguel is known for a lot of speeding, a lot of accidents, and it's in the school zone.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, San Miguel is an avenue or street located in Lemon Grove Avenue, or located in the Lemon Grove district. I used to actually be a school bus driver for Lemon
Oh,
Grove
okay.
Unified, so I'm very
Wow.
familiar with
Okay.
that street.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it's a street, as she has reported, has also had multiple accidents on it, and a lot of complaints have been filed with the city to try to get speed bumps and to perhaps get marked crosswalks, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
go ahead and finish.
And with having going to the city and listening in on a board meeting, one of the board members stated they gave reference to Trayvon, um, gave a moment of silence for Trayvon at this particular, but wanted
Did they
to.
know you were there?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Just want to know if they knew
They
you was
didn't.
in the room.
Mm-mm,
Okay, go
mm-mm.
ahead.
They didn't know I was there.
Mm-hmm.
But one of they did say that the driver was not speeding,
Okay.
and that's when I was livid
Mm-hmm.
because there was no police report and there was no evidence that we have had, his dad
That
and
could allow
I,
them to make that statement.
to make that statement.
Mhm.
And it was even to the point that they hit the gavel because I was so livid, and they said, if you want to speak, you need to write and fill out the form. And I was like, okay, because I was just there at first. I thought was just to listen and to see what they were. And I made that, I let them know that you cannot give that statement, on record when you don't know and no information was given. So as a mother, you go into mode of now it's like, I'm going to find out what you know. Because obviously you know something that I was not given that privilege to know.
Right.
So I go, and his dad and I say that next day we're down at that Lemon Grove Sheriff Department, and they tell us, it's not ready, still not ready. Maybe come back in another week or so. And I said, well, and I later seen a newspaper article that stated that the driver was not charged with anything.
So you want to know where are they getting this information from? Because that
Yes.
would have had to have come from a police report that you were not
Yes.
being given yet, but
Yes.
everybody else had privilege to the report except for the parents of Trayvon.
Exactly.
And you wanted to know who released that information to them for them to now put it in a newspaper article, and you
Right.
still don't have answers.
And on the news.
And on the news.
And
so
on
it was
the news,
released
local
to the
news.
media, and
Mhm.
you as parents still did not have a document in your hand that says
Nothing.
that the driver was not at fault or that the driver was not speeding. That's an investigation for them to put allegations out there that say that the driver was not speeding.
Right.
Who conducted that part of the investigation, and where was that information given to? Who was it given to? In order
Right.
for the media to get their hands on it, they got it from somebody else. So you now
Exactly.
literally got to follow a trail
Mhm.
to find out who released that information to that person that was at the board meeting.
That's
and
right.
who released the information to the news media.
Correct.
Were you able to find that out?
Going to the San Diego Sheriff Media Relations. I went with just the article and the name that was given on the article that gave this information that described of a black box. There was a black box that was supposedly from the car to determine how fast the car was going. And I immediately wanted to know who gave this information. Like I said, we still no police report. And as I go to the San Diego Sheriff Department, the person that's in the article don't come down, but actually the director, the head person, comes down and speak to me.
Okay.
By the name of Justin White.
Okay.
And he comes down and he speaks to me, and he tells me that basically just that he's sorry. That was the only thing that he gave to me, that he was sorry about not giving it to the family. And as he walked me to my car, and I sat in my car, and he also let me know that it was an officer at the Lemon Grove Sheriff Department, gave him the information. I sit in my car, and now I'm looking up this officer.
As any mother
Is
would.
it- I'm literally sitting in the San Diego Sheriff lot, looking it up, and then I get a phone call from him, from the director.
From the director who walked you to your car.
Yes.
He now calls you while you're
Now,
still sitting in the parking lot?
While I'm still sitting in the parking lot. And he tells me that he was the one that mentioned about a black box. And at that point, I'm like in shock, because it's like, okay, what do I do with this? Because he's literally, telling me that he is the one that's giving me this information, that he's put this out here. So again, I'm going back down to that sheriff department. And when I get down there, I said, I want that police report, and I want it now. And if I don't get it, I'm going to the media. Because it's been 2 months now. And I don't have a report, but everyone else has all the information. No, this is not right. So I said, so they kept giving me the runaround still. And I said, I want to talk to the head lieutenant here. And that's who I spoke with. And I told him that I want the report. And not only do I want the report, I want everything. I want the pictures. I want graphic, however it is. I want everything. When he assured me that we would have it. So we got a phone call the next day and let me know that that evening on the 9th, this is July the 9th, I get a phone call from the lieutenant that the report is ready. We couldn't connect that evening, so he told me to pick it up the next day. He said it would be ready, it would be in his box, and I could just go there, show him my ID, and I would get it. The next day, I go, and that morning, I go to pick it up. I give them my ID. I'm still having to wait over 30 minutes in the lobby.
Wow.
That it was said it was just
Right
already
there in the
ready,
box, ready
just
for you to
in a
pick it up.
box. Why am I waiting to get something that's supposedly already done? So once I get it and it's in the envelope, and then when I open it up, it's 9 pages.
9 pages of the investigation?
Just 9 pages of the investigation. It's supposed to be witnesses, all of
Was
this,
that
what
all in there?
happened, and everything like that. As looking upon the police report that I have, now I'm able to see who the driver was. I'm able to see the witnesses and their statements.
Okay. Now, with the witnesses, the young lady that was with your son, is her statement a part of the report?
Yes.
Okay, so her statement is in the report as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Her statement is in, and the driver's statement is in. And but I started doing research. Soon as I got that
The report?
It just didn't seem right to me. Just didn't look right to me. So, of course, as soon as I see the driver, I look him up. I'm on social media. I'm on different avenues to look and to see, So I find out who the driver is, and I look it up. And now I'm looking through different pictures, whose family, who's everybody. And I come across a picture of him and his girlfriend. And the grandfather comments on it. When I look at the grandfather, look up the grandfather, and I was really blown away, because when I seen it on his profile, he says that he's retired San Diego sheriff.
Okay.
And I was at a point to where, okay, could be, not too much. Like I said, I'm only going to go with facts of what I have. And when I looked up the grandfather's address, it's the same exact address that the driver gives on the police report. Now, the driver has a Georgia license, has a California license plate, but gives a San Diego residence. Let me also remind people the fact that the driver, he stated that he was unfamiliar with that area.
That was in the police report?
That he was unfamiliar with the area. Mind you, the address that he gave, it's only 3 miles from where the accident and where he lives.
Okay. So did it say anywhere in the police report where the driver was headed? Was he headed to that address or headed from that address? Or?
It just stated that he was heading to the girlfriend's home.
Okay. So he was in the car by himself,
Mm-hmm.
heading to his girlfriend's home.
Yes.
And within the vicinity of the address that he actually gave in the police report?
Yes.
Okay. So in the witness statements, did you notice anything in the statements that might have helped you arrive as to how your son ended up getting hit by this particular motorist? Was there anything in the statements that could, give you an idea of what actually happened?
No.
Nothing in the witness statements?
Nope. And
Not
that's
even
why,
in the young lady's statement that was with him?
Nope.
She didn't give you any information as to how your son could have ended up off the curb and in the path of this motorist car.
The witness statements that are on it all did not see.
And she didn't even see, and she was standing right there?
That's the report.
So were you ever able to have a conversation with her afterwards? Have you talked to her since?
I was able to speak to her, and it was because I had a good relationship with her, and I really, what happened, and he slipped, and he talked, and she said that, her dog, and her dog had came, and Trayvon was scared of the dog.
So I'm really trying to paint the picture here.
Yes.
So where he and this young lady were standing at, were they in front of her house?
Yes.
Okay, and she has a pet.
Yes.
The pet was not leashed.
Right.
Right? And the
Correct.
pet was not obviously standing there with them at the time, but the pet ran out from somewhere?
Yes.
And startled your son?
Well, again, I'm not going to give any type of what I think happened.
Just
this
what
is
she
only the
said.
statements that I'm just giving the facts of what she told me personally.
And you don't have that in writing, what she
And
told
we
you
don't,
personally?
because in the police report, it's a different report on the police report. Also want to state that on the police report that the airbag, it showed that the airbag did not deploy, and they could not get any data from it because the airbag didn't deploy. They couldn't get any data from this box that would determine if a car was going at a certain speed.
Okay. And then that comes back to the question of how were people able to arrive at the fact that the driver was not speeding because the black box wasn't able to give them data to prove that he was or was not speeding. One report says the black box clears him. Another report says the black box was not able to give any data.
Right.
So I can kind of see the lopsidedness of the investigation and the report, which would make any mother want to dig any further and try to really gain answers as to what really happened. So for the sake of our viewers, because I didn't even know cars had black boxes on them, I only hear about a black box concerning an airplane.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
So I want you to hold that statement right there. I want to take a quick commercial break really quick, and we'll be right back with more from Ms. Tanya Harris. And again, we are discussing black boxes right here on GODRadio1.com.
The San Diego Voice and Viewpoint newspaper is San Diego's oldest and largest African American publication. We bring you news for and about our community. Your stories matter to us. Thank you for allowing us to serve you for nearly 6 decades. Your support enables us to continue to forge ahead, informing you with news tailored to your needs. In addition to subscribing to our weekly publication, consider using Voice and Viewpoint to promote your business and events. Call us at 619-266-2233 or send an email to ads@sdvoice.info for details on how to get started. If you have advertising needs, contact us. Our prices are both fair and reasonable. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Voice and Viewpoint or visit our website at www.sdvoice.info. Remember, a people without a voice cannot be heard.
How far are you willing to drive for savory soul food and Southern hospitality? Join the countless number of satisfied customers who have discovered Jay's Southern Cafe, the hidden jewel in Jacumba, California. Jay's Southern Cafe is widely known for dishing up soul food style cuisine that will make your mouth salivate. Everything from traditional breakfast favorites like omelets, waffles, hotcakes, eggs, and bacon, to lunch favorites like soups and salads, pulled pork, fish, chicken, and hot link sandwiches, including burgers and fries. But real soul food lovers drive from near and far to experience Chef Jay's succulent signature barbecue and scrumptious golden fried fish. Not to mention all the mouth-watering sides like cheesy mac and cheese, barbecue beans, collard greens, potato salad, coleslaw, cornbread, and more. You've got to come and experience Jay's Southern Cafe, located at 44461 Old Highway 80 in Jacumba, California. For a full list of menu items, visit jaysoutherncafe.com or call 619-766-0053. Come dine at Jay's Southern Cafe, where everyone and everything we serve is special. Follow us on Facebook at Jay's Southern Cafe, breakfast, lunch, and barbecue. Or call 619-766-0053. Now you make sure you come and see us. You hear?
God bless you and welcome back to GODRadio1.com with Evangel for your midday music mix. I have a very special guest for those of you that are just now joining us. If you are live with us on Facebook, you can actually see us. I have in the house with me Miss Tanya Harris, who is the mother of Trayvon Harris, and she is sharing a very near and dear situation that happened with her son in 2019, May 3rd of 2019. And I guess the investigation surrounding his death. Just before we went to a commercial break, I was talking about black boxes, and the only thing I ever knew of is that an airplane had a black box, but I didn't really know that cars could have a type of black box that allows them to gather information either before or after an accident that allows them to determine what were some of the things that happened as a result of the accident, you know, such as you were sharing with me, airbag not deploying, them able to determine the speed of the car that it was traveling at. There's a lot of questions that are up in the air that I know you as a mom want. And that was my main reason for bringing you on to GODRadio1.com, is to let our listeners know that you're just a passionate mother who wants answers, as any mother would want. If any of us was in her shoes, we know doggone well we be trying to turn hell upside down to figure out what happened to our baby. But I wanted to give Tanya an opportunity to share some additional information with you that she has regarding her son's tragic death due to a motorist that was driving down a street that we all know the speed limit probably is too high for the street, or perhaps people just don't obey the speed limit at all. They just speed through the street because it's flat ground, it's easy to fly through there, and it's a wide open street, and there are no marked crosswalks, right?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead and share with us some of the other documents that you brought today.
So I have the toxicology report. We did not or do not know if the driver was given any toxicology.
Okay.
We don't know if he was any type of breathalyzer, any type of anything to show if he was under the influence.
That's a whole nother question right there.
So we don't and we don't have that information in the report or anything of that.
And no one from your family was able to stay around at the investigation of the scene of the accident.
Right.
So
no.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So,
stuff right after an accident.
Yes.
That type of stuff is valuable. Even if you could have witnesses who either witnessed the driver being given a breathalyzer test to determine if the driver was under the influence, because witnesses tend to hang around a long time.
Right.
Even after the person who's injured has been removed from the scene, witnesses still tend to hang around and watch and see what's going to happen next.
Right,
They want to
right,
see.
right.
They want to see who's talking to who, you know what I'm saying? But you didn't have anybody from your family that was able to hang around and stay and kind of monitor and see the scene after that. So those are a lot of questions. Of course, we can't go
Correct.
back to it now, but
Right.
where can you go from here? So you have the toxicology report in front of us.
Yes, I have the toxicology report, and it was done at 9:30 in the morning
How many days after?
of May 4th.
Okay, May 4th,
May
the very
4th.
next day.
The very next day. The opinion of the examiner, and it says, according to the investigative information, the descendant was a 13-year-old male who lived with his family in a home in Spring Valley, which is not. On the afternoon, May 3rd, he was near his home and ran into the street between two parked vehicles to meet his mother.
Okay.
I was not at the scene when Trayvon was hit. He was then struck by an oncoming sports sedan. A call to 911 was placed, and he was transported to Rady Children's Hospital, where his death was pronounced shortly after his arrival. According to his family, he had no significant medical history, and there are no charges pending for the driver of the vehicle.
Okay, who wrote that report?
So this is the toxicology report.
So
And
they're
this
giving
is-
some assumptions, because it sounds like they don't have all the facts either. They're going off of some assumptions as well. Because like you
Okay.
said, you weren't at the scene of the accident, you were down the street.
I wasn't at the scene,
Right.
and
so
then
they didn't have all their own facts.
And also, let me remind everyone that the police investigator did not come and get my statement until the 6th of May.
Okay.
So to say that and give this information, and he had not even
And that was
spoken
on
to
May
me,
4th.
and this is on May 4th in the morning,
And no report or statement
and
came
no,
from you
the
at
statement
that
came
point.
from me.
Gotcha.
You cannot give this in his exam to give and to state the driver.
I understand that.
On the 4th, going back to the memorial, there's a video that a woman was at the scene. And she says that she gave a statement to a radio, ones that go out and kind of chase accidents, a news feed, 619, different news media that go around the area. And they gave a video. He actually, when asking about another incident that I had seen, I asked him, could he send me a information on anything on the 3rd? And he let me know, yes, he only had something on the 4th. And it was a statement of a woman that claims she knew what happened.
Okay.
This same woman, the interview that she gave and the statement that she seen what happened, messaged me personally and told me that she didn't see anything.
Okay. Okay.
On the police report, this woman is nowhere on the police report. But this news feed of this witness, and when it shows on the video, the agency, it went to the San Diego Sheriff Department.
Okay. Yeah, I can see your frustration with that as well. I can definitely see that. If you don't have, I mean, timelines are very, very important.
Yes.
Timelines. And I understand that you also secured an attorney to help you with your part of the investigation, because
Yes.
as any mother, if you don't feel like you're getting the answers, you kind of have to hire your own private investigator to look into things and get more details for you that you may not have access to.
Right.
But you also have to have an attorney on hand as well. Because with
Yeah.
those findings, you can discover that some things were either falsely stated or illegally released. and you weren't even given the privilege of knowing things first before things were leaked out to the media for them to put things out there.
Correct.
I can see the frustration with that because you are keeping a timeline. You're keeping a timeline of dates.
Exactly.
What happened on this date, what happened on this date, what was released on this date. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? Those
yes.
types of things are key when it comes to an investigation and understanding what really, really happened. I
Correct.
think one of the key people as a mom I would really be interested in, it would be the teenager that he was with.
Yes.
Because she was there, you know,
Yes.
regardless of what other people standing around saw. They always say you can take 10 people, put them in the same room, show them the exact same thing. But when you
Yes.
go to collect their story,
Right.
they're all going to tell a totally different story, although they saw the exact same thing.
Yes.
They're going to
yes.
tell a different story of
Yes.
what they saw because from their perspective, it's subject to interpretation.
Yes.
Everyone's
yes.
going to interpret it a little bit differently, even though they're looking at the exact same thing happen at the exact same time. When I spoke to you on the phone, I was encouraging you to pray because I know with you, you probably feel small and you've got this mountain of people with power all around you who are blocking you and making you feel like it's impossible for you to have the peace that you desire. You told me that you cry. You cry because you miss your son. You're thinking about your son. And I'm pretty sure in your mind you still see him laying there when you were cradling him.
Yeah.
I know that. I mean,
Yes.
I don't have to be in your shoes. I felt it when you were saying it.
Yes.
And I want you mothers that are also watching to recognize and understand if it were you and if it were your child, what lengths would you go to try to get the answers that you need so that you can just have peace of mind. One of the things that I prayed for was that you would be able to have peace and that you would be able to lay your head down at night. But when you've got so many unanswered questions stirring around, it's hard to just rest. You're restless because you want to be able to get the answers that you need. And that was one of my prayers as well, is that God would put certain people in your path that will
Yes.
be able to connect the dots for you.
Amen.
Because
Amen.
once your dots are connected,
Yes.
then you can rest. And if there's anything else that you are entitled to receive,
Yes.
you're definitely entitled to receive the truth.
Yes.
And the Lord, he tells us in the word of God, there's nothing hidden that's not going to be revealed. We go
That's
through
right.
great lengths to cover up our
Yes.
mess.
Yes.
A lot of folks go through great lengths. Why do people go through great lengths to cover up in the first place? It's usually out of fear. They're fearful of something, either
Right.
fearful of losing something,
Right.
or fearful of suffering a consequence that they don't want to suffer. So if they have the opportunity to cover it up or sweep it under the carpet, they think it's all good. And it's not. In God's eyes, he sees everything.
Yeah.
And at the appointed time,
That's
stuff gets
right.
uncovered when
That's
people
right.
least expect it.
That's right.
So even with this toxicology report that you have just shared with us, as I said before, it doesn't sound like they had all of the facts yet anyway, and yet they went ahead and wrote it up, and that was released to you. What other documents were released to you as well? You got the toxicology report.
Well, this was released to me, but again, this was something that I had to receive myself.
You
I
had to pay
go-
for it yourself.
I had they would send it to you as a mother through email, and if I wanted it to come to the mail, I could pay for it to come to the mail. But like I said, I used to work in the funeral home. I used to do work. I used to do makeup.
Wow.
And so the funeral home and to Bobby Mouse, very close friend. I did his wife, his everyone's hair in the family, and I trusted him with Trayvon. And I trusted, and when I found that different things wasn't going on, I asked him, well, how can I get this? How can I get this information? And so he was able to steer me in a rec. So I didn't know if I could get his toxicology report, because it wasn't in the
Police
police
right?
report. So this is something that I obtained, and along with different things in the social media, even the young lady that actually friends, it was many friends supposedly that was in that area in which he was playing with. And on social media, I did my research and looking and going, and and this young lady actually states that she heard Trayvon say his last words.
She did. Wow.
But yet and still in the police report didn't see it.
Was she questioned in the police report? Is this the same young lady that was with him?
No, this
Oh,
is
this a
this
different
is
other
like
young lady.
3 different ladies that
Okay.
was supposedly that was in that area and where Trayvon, but no one seemed to see anything.
But she said she heard
But
him say
she
his last. What were his last words?
I don't.
Oh,
That's a,
they didn't report that.
you know that they didn't put that in, and a lot of the things that I do have, a lot of the information, this right here, this binder right here, these are
Yes.
many pictures of that I have of Trayvon and of the accident and how the street, even right now, that street has pit holes, it has gravel, it has in the city, and it's right in front of a school, where in the church, also have kids coming from the church over to the school, that is crossing exactly where Trayvon was hit, and it's no crosswalk.
So there are kids crossing from the church, which is a school itself. And,
exactly.
And on San Miguel Avenue, there's no marked crosswalk at all for them to safely get across the street. So how do they get across the street?
They have patrol, 2 people patrolling to have a stop to have the kids to come across and onto the sidewalk. And then because there's no sidewalk on that other side of the street. And it's a problem, that's one of the statements that a lot of the witnesses that he slipped on gravel.
Okay.
Now that's one consistent that he slipped on gravel. I do have pictures of the big hole that was out at the spot where he was hit. I do have the statement of the driver that claims that he seen Trayvon come off the curb into the street, but couldn't avoid running him over.
Okay, so the driver that actually hit him, that was in the police report? That was his statement?
That was his statement.
Okay. And then I had another question while you were saying that. Now I'm trying to think about it. On San Miguel Avenue, what is the speed limit?
So the speed limit is supposed to be 25 miles per hour in a school zone.
Is that the marked speed limit on that street?
Um,
What's the marked speed limit?
I believe the marked speed limit is 30.
Okay, so it's 30, but then we all know the law says that when children are present, you drop your speed to 25. Are there signs posted that say that? School zone signs that are posted? Because normally there are signs posted in front of a school that says school zone, speed limit 25 when children are present. Are there signs like that?
There was not a sign at the time of Trayvon's death.
At the time of his death.
There was no signs to show that the speed limit. And so from the statement of the driver said that he's seen all signs, it was not. I have also video that signs and different things was put up after
that
Trayvon
makes sense to me because that's what the city does.
Yes.
Similar to what happened to your son, I can recall a situation where I believe it was a brother and a sister that were both killed in an unmarked crosswalk as well. I believe it was Allied Garden some years ago. And I can remember being a school bus driver. For years, we would have the hardest time pulling out to make this particular turn. And there was no traffic light there either. And it was complained about so many times. And unfortunately, it always does seem to take the death of a child to get our city to make a decision to do something that's so, if you get multiple complaints about a particular street or a dangerous intersection, why wait until somebody gets killed to do something? So unfortunately, it took 2 siblings getting struck and killed at the exact same time trying to run across this busy street. Now there are clearly marked crosswalks and there is an actual traffic light there now to stop traffic so the kids can safely cross the street. But I can imagine the parents, why did it have to take my 2 babies babies
Right.
getting killed for you all to
Right.
put something up that we complained about for years.
Right.
And now you are another parent. And who, if
Mhm.
they don't do anything this time, that means somebody else's baby can be struck and killed in the exact same point
Yes.
or exact same place on that street because the city failed to do anything. You know,
Yes.
and I don't always know what their delay is. If it's money, what account will we pull the money from? Who's going to pay for? You know, I don't
Right.
even know
Right.
what is the bargaining for them determining which streets get crosswalks and lights and which ones get speed bumps and which ones don't. I don't exactly know what all hoops you got to jump through just to get a speed bump on a street to slow somebody down. I've seen people get it done.
Yes.
I know they had to sign petitions. You know, they had to
Yes.
get so many people to rally behind it to get it done.
Mhm.
So have you gotten any other support from the residents in the area of where the accident happened? Have you been able to talk to any other residents or people who are trying to get speed bumps or crosswalks on the street? Anybody that's already been trying to do this before his death?
So they have been, and that's why when we were doing, his dad and I were doing door to door, and when we were doing in March, we came across many people that had discussed how the city, they go and complain, they do different things, but still nothing is done. They go to the board, Lemon Grove board, and it's shut down. And it's constant. And it's many where drivers, even just the other day, a driver on San Miguel, a car was flipped upside down.
On the
from
very
speed
same
down.
street? And
On
was it in
San
the
Miguel.
same section?
No, it was not in the same section. But it's just clear that San Miguel is known for excessive speed and not, 30. And so with that, that's why I have this shirt, and I had this shirt made.
Can you stand up so that
Oh,
our
okay.
camera can capture what your shirt says? It's a little delayed on the screen, but just go
Okay,
ahead
okay.
and tell us what it says.
So it's Justice for Trayvon, and it's hashtag SDPAAS. And what this means is, while in a school zone, you want to slow down,
Good.
pay attention, and stop.
I like that. So it says SDPAAS. Slow down, pay attention, and stop. Okay.
So, and if the driver in the school zone, had he seen it was in the school zone, had he slowed down when he said that he seen Trayvon and it's in the school zone, to slow down, if he had to slow down, and if he was paying attention, remind you, he said that he was on his GPS. What GPS was he on? Was it on the car? Was it on his phone? We don't know. But if he was paying attention and stopped, Trayvon would be here today.
Okay. So the driver did stop at the scene of the accident. It wasn't a hit and run?
Correct. That is, and again, that is only information that is given to me on the police report.
Okay. And I think in my conversation to talking to you and getting some more information about the accident, I think you you told me that you didn't even know who the driver was at first, because of course, you're not thinking about no driver. You're thinking about your baby.
Exactly.
You're not thinking about nothing else. Who's standing around? Nothing.
Right.
My child is on the ground. I'm coming to the aid of my child. That's the only thing I know you were focused on, and your child that was still in the truck as well.
Right.
Just your children.
Exactly.
Not anybody standing around at that time. And then I think I also had asked you, was there any surveillance footage available, like the school across the street where kids normally cross from? Is there a camera, surveillance footage? Because a lot of times now schools have cameras in place for various reasons. And we know our city has cameras in place for various reasons. Were you notified about any surveillance footage that might be available that may have captured the accident as well?
No, I have not. And that goes to, I thank you for bringing that up, because even in the police report stated that it was 288 photos that was taken. And to this day, I still have not.
You don't have those photos.
Any of those photos.
Yeah. I don't know how that works when it comes to releasing photos from the scene of an accident. I do know they come into play if something ends up going to court. But I do know that much. They come into play then.
Yes.
But I don't know if you're entitled to receive those photos.
But the they have to come subpoenaed through the lawyer.
Okay.
And my attorney has been subpoenaed, and he has not gotten
Okay. Or you
this
mean your
information.
attorney is trying to get those photos for you? So you do have an
Still,
attorney right
yes.
now, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So what I want to ask everyone to do who is viewing our broadcast today, we know the power of prayer, and I'm not here to point the finger at any particular person. I'm only here to provide a platform for Ms. Harris and help her to get the answers that she desires to get regarding her son and the accident that claimed his life. And the main thing we do as saints of God is we do pray. Not everybody is going to get out in the streets and protest or go to meetings, you know what I'm saying, when town hall meetings and things like that. But I do want us to lift up Miss Harris in prayer, first of all. And I'm only saying this to real prayer intercessors.
Amen.
If you don't have the faith to pray for her and pray for the situation that's surrounding the accident with her son, then you don't have to pray at all. I'm talking to those
Amen.
who know how to get a prayer through. And you have heard a lot of the story. You've heard a lot of the things that are still up in the air. There's so much questions right now that she doesn't have answers to, that if she had the answers, she could make a more informed decision and be able to move forward in whatever else God wants her to do in her son's honor, which I was seeing scholarship. I don't know if you did it yet, but I see
I'm
a
working.
scholarship in
Amen.
Trayvon Harris' name. I
Yes,
see it, a
yes.
basketball scholarship.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want you all to pray for her because, as I said before, this mother feeling so small in the eyes of big, gigantic people with power and authority, and they have all these connection in high places. We have the highest connection.
Amen.
We have a divine high
Amen.
connection with our
Yes.
Father. And as I said before, in his word, he already tells us nothing is going to be hidden that won't be revealed. So if there's anything being covered up or hidden, specifically, we want it to be uncovered, especially if it's going to give her justice for Trayvon. That's what this is all about. It says
Yes.
justice for Trayvon Harris, whatever
Amen.
justice looks like. We must pray and intercede on her behalf for justice.
Amen.
Justice for Trayvon, whatever that looks like. That's what we're petitioning God for, the justice that her heart needs so that she can be at peace and at rest with what actually happened involving this accident. Now, the next thing, because I see our time is winding up too, what's happening on Friday?
So on Friday, we're having a protest. We are looking to have the investigation reopened. This is my prayer request, and what we are seeking to have. We will be meeting on at the Hall of Justice. And it is Friday, July the 10th at 2 p.m. At 330 West Broadway, San Diego, 92101. We also have a petition on as well, if you would sign. And we're seeking to get to come out, to get the attention of media, to get the attention of those that the DA's office, and to look into reopening of this investigation.
And there's the prayer request. She just said, this is my prayer request. I want his investigation reopened. So whoever makes those decisions on reopening an investigation, that's what we want to pray for, that God would move on the heart or hearts of those who make those decisions. Hey, we need to reopen this investigation. That's what you and I pray for as intercessors. We begin to ask the Lord to touch the hearts of those who make those decisions to reopen an investigation. And in reopening the investigation, what do you want to happen?
I want to know what happened to Trayvon. I want to know truly what happened to Trayvon. And I want all that were involved to have the arrested, to be able to, if things come out to make sure that those were involved and everything, just like we said, the cover up, that charges will be brought up against those
And
that were involved.
now, if in reopening the investigation, if
Yes.
in reopening it, it's
Yes.
discovered that there were no criminal things that took place,
Mhm.
what will happen then from your standpoint?
For one, I would get to understand what happened to my son, and also continue to get crosswalk and
That's
to
it.
get speed bumps and
That's
to
it.
get lighting and to get so this doesn't happen to another child.
Amen.
That is my desire, with Trayvon. He was a giver. He would love basketball. Right now the Lemon Grove Recreational Center, for the youth, it's not open. They don't have the funds to be able to fund the recreational center, which allow kids to be able to enjoy sports, to enjoy different activities. And I want to be able to have that, in honor of Trayvon, to open up the rec center, to have it the Trayvon Harris Rec Center. To have speed bumps put in place, especially near a school zone, and not just on San Miguel, but all school zones. To properly, secure our kids, to deter drivers, those that do not pay attention to the signs that they will have to because of what is down on the ground. Flashing lights, and things that would get the attention of a driver.
Yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of schools are starting to put things like that in place as well. Unique types of crosswalks where even the pedestrian can activate the lights that are flashing on the ground as well, or activate a neon light that gets people's attention from far off that there is someone about to step in the street. Being a driving instructor and teaching teenagers how to drive, we have to train them how to recognize things well in advance before they come up upon it. And they're seeing crosswalks they're saying, what is that? Because they've never seen anything like I said, these are the new crosswalks now.
Wow.
Because in certain areas of town, they don't even have them yet. But I take the kids all over. I let them experience different areas of San Diego so they see what different crosswalks look like, different pedestrian crosswalks look like. Not all of them happen at a traffic light. They put them in the middle of the block now because no one wants to walk 3 blocks to a traffic light just across the street.
Exactly.
So our city is getting more creative. However, we have to be a little bit more strategic with streets that are definitely coming up on the radar as complaints. A street where the speed limit is high, or a street where multiple pedestrians have been struck. And especially if the pedestrian's life, if they end up losing their life as a result of a motorist traveling down the street, even if he was 1 to 2 miles above the speed limit, he's still speeding technically. You're technically above the speed limit. And that's what I tell my students. If that speed limit says 30, you don't drive 31. It says 30. That's the law. That's the speed law for that street. You don't drive 31 because the sign did not say 31 is the speed limit. It said 30. And those are some of the main things that I zero in on as well. Because even on, if an officer does decide to use a radar gun and track you, some of my students are getting information like, oh, where you can be 5 miles above the speed limit and they won't write you a ticket. I said, but that doesn't stop them from pulling you over. If they really want to be raunchy, they'll pull you over at 31 because you were above the speed limit. Technically, you were breaking the law. And that's something that we have to be mindful of as well. You brought up a good point about the speed limit and the signs that are in place now. But your desire now is to have the investigation reopened, right? And your desire is to also have crosswalks put in place and speed bumps put in place. So I think I said that. Again, prayer warriors, that's what I want you to do. I want you to pray for the investigation to be reopened and for the facts and the truth to come out so that this mother can have peace. And then we also want to pray for speed bumps and crosswalks to be put in as well on that particular street. The street is called San Miguel Avenue. For those of you who got Google Maps, you can Google it. It's literally got pictures of the street right there. So I want you all to pray for that as well. And Ms. Harris, I do want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing Trayvon's story with us and sharing your story and sharing the dilemma that you're in right now, which is just trying to get answers regarding your son's death. And again, this Friday is a peaceful protest. Amen.
Yes.
Everybody will be masked up.
Yes,
right?
please wear your mask. We will have masks for people that are out.
That's good.
Um,
Yes.
and
She came bearing gifts.
so they
Bracelets
will not
and-
give those. You guys have
Okay.
those special
These
dresses.
are our gifts. Sorry.
but we will be having the wristbands.
Mhm.
And it's first come first serve, and it has Trayvon's birth and his passing, and it says justice for Trayvon. So you can have it, and this was actually donated from a mother that actually just recently lost her son.
Was it to an accident as well?
Not a car accident, but another.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that I get that out. Also, there is a young lady, Natalie. So I do have a Trayvon page. We do have a Trayvon
Is
group.
it a social media page or something?
Social
Can you give
media,
that to
group.
the viewers? Tell them what.
So
what
we're
the page is?
Tanya Harris, Justice for Trayvon, and also if anybody have any on Instagram, it is myheart_Trayvon_Ty.
Okay, so
and that's-
myheart_Trayvon_Ty
TYE.
TYE. Gotcha.
And that's my Instagram. So if
Okay.
anybody have any information or that can possibly help, and help me on Facebook, I'm Tanya Harris on Facebook, and please inbox me if you have any information pertaining. You can also go. I know a lot of people were talking about the petition. You can go on Tanya Harris, and I have that petition.
And the petition can be signed on social media. The person doesn't have to come in person.
Yes, you can click. You can just click on the link, and you can sign the petition.
Okay. Thank you
Yes.
so much for sharing your story with us right here on
Thank you.
GODRadio1.com.
God bless you. God bless
Yes,
you.
God bless you, because we got some prayer warriors that are tuned into this radio station, and I
Yes.
can honestly tell you I have seen God move in a mighty way. Sometimes that's all you
Amen.
need is for
Yes.
somebody else to go before the throne room on your behalf. And before you know it, you getting phone calls from people you didn't expect, or you're
Yes.
getting visits from people that you didn't expect, and they're going to help you tie things together. As I said before, cross the T's, dot the I's,
Amen.
and bring you closure. That was my main thing. I wanted you as a mother and, of course, as dad to be able to receive the closure that you need to be able to move forward, but to
Yes.
also create that scholarship in his
Amen.
name.
Amen.
And also keep other mothers who may be in and around the area on that very same street, whose youth cross that very same street, to try
Yes.
to make that street a safe zone for them too. So I did want to
Yes.
say thank
Amen.
you again.
Thank you.
She's giving you all of her social media information to follow her on
Yes.
Instagram and on Facebook. Are you on Twitter as well?
I don't really use Twitter.
She don't tweet or Twitter, as Mama Bear would say. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to GODRadio1.com. We sometimes open up the show like this for platforms and sensitive topics just like this as well. And I want to give a shout out to all of you who are already praying. Many of you already knew her story. Many of you are familiar with her and familiar with what happened to her son, Trayvon. And for those of you that are hearing for the very first time, that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to intercede on her behalf moving forward, because she may feel like a little David against a big giant Goliath. But we all know what David did with that giant.
That's right.
He placed faith in a gigantic God who took a small stone and killed that giant.
Yes.
So if there are any giants right now, and I do see in the spirit realm, that's what you are up
Amen.
against, giants in the
Amen.
spirit realm. You've got a
Amen.
God who's greater than that.
Amen.
And God says the same. You're going to have the answers that you need to bring you the closure that you need as well. Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
Thank
Well, God
you.
bless you,
God
sis.
bless you.
Thank you again for
I
coming
know we
by.
can't do. We got to keep our
No,
social distance. We
social
running like.
distancing. But I want to thank all of you as
Yes.
well for tuning in, and be sure to share this particular post on GLDRadio1.com.
Yes,
Share it with family,
please.
friends, and loved ones. She can use all the support that all the support she needs. She can use it. So the more that we spread it out and we help other people to know what happened, the more attention it's going to get as well. And again, that's this Friday. Give me the time one more time.
Yes,
2
2.
p.m.
Mm-hmm.
2 p.m. this Friday on West Broadway, 330 West Broadway in San Diego. They're going to be at the Hall of Justice, okay? And a petition will be present there as well, or you can go onto her Facebook page and sign the petition as well. So I want to wish you all a big God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in to GODRadio1.com, and I want to thank my very special engineer as well, who